Good mythical afternoon, ladies and gents. This is Mr. Ayala with another video for you. This is 13.4, Slavery and Secession. As always, please make sure you are listening and writing down any information that you need to be successful on the next test. So, your objectives are, you will be able to explain the effects of the election of 1860. You will be able to explain the issues surrounding Southern secession. You will be able to identify the Confederate States of America, and you will explain the Union's response to Southern secession. So, the election of 1860. So, what we start with is a split in the Democratic Party platform. So, because of that, Lincoln, the Republican president, versus Douglas, the Northern Democrat, versus Breckinridge, the Southern Democrat, and then a guy named Bell, who's constitutional unionist, who his major idea or platform is the Union now, the Union forever. That's really about it. So, the nation actually ends up becoming tired of compromise and elect Lincoln as president without any Southern support. He wasn't actually on any of the ballots in the South and went solely on Northern electoral votes. So, what happens is the Southerners already have warned that if Lincoln won the election, they would secede from the Union. They were scared that he would take away their slaves, even though prior to his election, he stated he would not. He would keep all the slaves if he had to, extend slavery if he had to, get rid of slavery if he had to, whatever it was to keep the Union together, because as Andrew Jackson stated, the Union must be preserved. Anyway, the Southerners based this idea of secession on states' rights, saying that if the Union was voluntary to join, it should be voluntary to leave. So, in December 20th, 1860, South Carolina becomes the first state to secede from the Union, and other southern states would follow shortly. And they create this union known as the Confederate States of America, also known as the Confederacy, the Rebs, the CSA, and their capital would be at Richmond, Virginia, and their president was a gentleman named Jefferson Davis. And so the CSA believed that war would be the only way to protect their secession from the United States and began to build up their forces. The Union, though, the Northerners considered secession to be unconstitutional. And so they called on President Buchanan to do something prior to President Lincoln coming into office. But Buchanan did nothing. So the Northerners also expressed the idea that the Southerners did not like this idea. They did not want to listen to the will of the people, and they disagreed with the idea of democracy and republicanism. That, just because you disagree with your president doesn't mean that he is not your president and that you have the right to secede. No, he is your president. You will deal with it. And that's kind of what the Northerners are saying to the South. And the Southerners are like, I'm leaving. So, first things they try to do is they try to compromise through this idea known as the Crittenden Plan. This, of course, will fail. And so President Lincoln spoke during his first inaugural address passionately about the issue of secession and about how we should not fall apart. We should not fight each other. And so Lincoln did not want to invade the South, but Lincoln had an issue. He had to protect federal property, and the South was getting ready to attack at Fort Sumter, South Carolina. And we will continue this in the next chapter. And as always, don't forget to be awesome.